Hello everyone, my name is Leslie. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share with you today my frugal thought, and my frugal thought is some extreme ways to save money on the holidays this year. It is 2 weeks until Christmas Eve. Some of these are, the first three are probably a little bit more extreme than some people might be willing to do. The ones that I'm going to mention at the end are not really extreme. They're more just common sense ways to spend money. To save money. The first one is something my aunt told me that they did during the Depression and during the war, because people had to work on the holiday, because they offered extra money to work on the holiday. It's probably still true of a lot of people who have people who work in hospitals or things like that, or hospitality that are open 24/7, and that is to celebrate Christmas a few days after the actual holiday itself. That would be maybe very difficult for people to pull off if you have young children. I think that if it was just something that an entire family decided to do, you could get away with it. And the idea was, I had a friend who did this, and the idea being that you get the better deals after Christmas. I thought that was interesting. I had never really thought to do that. But it's definitely something that is an extreme way. If you are really strapped this year, and if it's maybe just you and your spouse or you and your immediate family, it might be difficult if you have younger children, but maybe not. You'd have to see. I do have actually a family with younger children, and this is part of this, is they celebrated every year on December 30th because they had young children. The in-laws of my friend lived out in Ohio, so they would drive out to Ohio on the 22nd. They would be there December 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and come home on the 26th. And so they did not want to miss out on seeing their children experience Christmas in their home, so they would recreate and pretend that Christmas was actually on December 30th. The children were not aware that it was not Christmas Day. They thought that all those days leading up to it were just celebratory, and you know, people saying Merry Christmas, you know, things like that. The family, the extended family, knew that the kids weren't going to celebrate their Christmas until the 30th, so they knew not to ask what Santa was going to bring or if they had gotten anything, because they knew that Santa had not yet come for them. So that is something that might work for you. That is an extremely, that is an extreme way to save money. That may or may not work for you. It is also, it does take some of the stress leading up to the 24th. I do remember my friend who went out to Ohio said to me, it was actually kind of nice because she knew that she could enjoy her trip out there without getting freaked out about what to buy, etc., etc. And then the day after Christmas, if they didn't come home on the 26th, she said she and her in-laws would go out shopping. They would, you know, kind of like a family event. They would go out shopping with her mother-in-law and her sister-in-laws, and then they would hide the gifts in the back of the car, in the trunk, and you know, they would get good deals. Again, maybe perhaps a little extreme. The third, I guess, second thing is to return unused gifts by a set date. I had a friend who did this. She had several kids. She said that if an item, she set in her calendar a little reminder for herself, if a gift had not been worn or used by, I think she said January 31st, she would return it. Around the holidays, there are very generous return policies. So around January 15th, she would go out kind of looking for the gifts. She would put them away. Her children were younger. She would say, look in the toy basket, and if the puzzle hadn't been opened, or the toy hadn't been opened, or the Barbie hadn't been opened, she would take it, put it in a big trash bag. She said if they asked about the toy in the next 2 weeks, she would say, oh yeah, I think I saw it in XYZ. She would go get it out of the bag. She said the entire time she did this, which was for years, no one had ever asked about a gift that they were missing, or which was no longer in the gift, you know, in the toy basket. Her feeling was that it was out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, that the thrill that they got from opening it up on Christmas, which is something to consider, was so fleeting that they didn't remember what they had. So if it hadn't been opened or used by January 30th, well, January 15th, I guess, really, because she would take them away, and then she would return them on January 31st. She said every year this saved her hundreds of dollars by returning clothing that maybe they didn't like, or especially if they were younger, or you know, toys that they didn't quite hit the mark. The other thing that another friend of mine does is they buy, I think they call them crappy filler gifts. And the way this works is, instead of really struggling, these are extreme ways to save yourself money and aggravation this Christmas. And what they would do is they would go, let's say if, you know, their sister Nancy likes Gap clothes, if they know that they like Gap clothes, or likes skiing or something like that, they made sure that they there was a policy, and they would add a gift receipt, but they would buy what they called the crappy filler gift. And basically they would give, let's say, Sister Nancy a sweater that they didn't really think she was going to like, and so that she could use the money that had been put towards the sweater towards something she really did like when she made the return up to January 31st. That worked for them. That may not work for you. I will say, and this is kind of along the same thing, my husband we didn't plan this to be. He gave me a fairly expensive piece of jewelry years ago. It was probably the last time we really exchanged gifts. And it was just not my cup of tea, and I just knew I wasn't going to wear it, and I knew that he had put some money into it, and I decided that I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but that I was going to return it. And by the way, excuse me, I'm sorry, I yawned. I have been fighting something for 2 weeks now. But anyway, I returned the piece of jewelry a day or two after Christmas for what he had paid for full price 3 days before Christmas for this particular item. I was able to get myself a much nicer ring that I love, and we would not have been able to afford that ring before Christmas at its full retail value, because when I got it, it was 50% off. So if that makes any sense to you, I basically returned a necklace at full price, used that money to buy a 50% off ring. And it's a beautiful ring, and I absolutely love it. The other thing I think, and this is not necessarily such extreme ideas, but just practical ideas now, and that is that, and this requires a little bit of planning, but it's not too late yet, is to go and to give gifts, many of which will still be sealed with tags on, from thrift stores. I frequently see new toys, new clothing, new gifts, new candles, new books, copies of recent books. I recently, if you're familiar with Anthropology, it's a desirable woman's store around here for my teenage girls, and I just was at the Goodwill bins about 6 months ago, and I found just a stack of clothing. It must have been a donation from Anthropology of like shirts, pants, dresses, accessories, just a whole big pile of them, all one on top of each other in my daughter's size. I absolutely could have given them as gifts. Instead I ended up selling them on Poshmark and eBay. But if I had wanted to do that, I know her, and I know that she probably wouldn't have particularly liked these styles, but that for some people would work out great. That's also really good, and it makes me happy. And I have done this before, where I have seen a gift or a book that is new, quote unquote new, and I will pick it up at a thrift store. If it's in great condition, I will give it to someone as a new gift, and that's good for the environment, and it's good for minimalism, because you're not wasting our Earth's resources. I apologize, but these, by the way, are the 90% off mugs I bought, I guess 2 years ago, and they were 50 cents each, and I use them 365 days a year. They were after the holiday clearance. Again, I don't think they scream, other than the colors. I don't think they really scream Christmas, but I love these. The other thing I think is to think of different kind of gifts. Other than giving someone a sweater or something like that, I think that a great gift for a newlywed couple, which I've given as bridal gifts, is a box of ornaments. That if you think about it now, if you know anyone who's getting married next year, to give them a box of ornaments, beautiful ornaments. I'm not talking about the cheapy plastic ones. I'm talking, I did a video about this on my other channel, that there are at Target right now $100 gift boxes of ornaments that if you could buy them at 70% off for $30, that is a fabulous gift for a bridal shower. I always see, and this is something that I always see at rummage sales, is yarn. I have friends who, they don't care about what kind of yarn, they just want to knit, and they'll take whatever yarn they have and make a pair of gloves or a scarf or something like that. So if you see, for instance, new containers, new skeins, I think it's skeins of yarn, that's a great gift. You can also give them, I one time found and gifted it to my daughter, actually, a box of, it was a kit, a learn how to knit kit. This is all about knitting. I also think that a great gift is just a $20 gift card to a local favorite restaurant, because it doesn't have to be extravagant, but it just is a generous, thoughtful gift that the person will use for a meal. I don't really drink coffee, so I'm not a big fan of getting Starbucks or like a coffee place, because I'm probably not going to use it. I'm going to give it to, but so that's why I like the idea of a meal. And the other thing I have done, which I think is a great gift, is to get a very and it doesn't have to be extravagant, a gift card to a college student's bookstore, college bookstore. So I have in the past gone to a particular college, called, well, you probably don't even have to call, I called and gotten a gift card to that college bookstore and given it in a card to the person, and then they have $20–25 to put towards whatever they may want at the bookstore. So that's a good gift. The other thing is that one of the things, and this requires a little bit of thinking, is and planning. That's why I say planning, is that I tend to, as I keep on talking about, get things at 90% off Target. One year they had about 100 of these. I don't think anyone knew that they were 90% off. I want to say that these were, there's 2 of them in there. They may have been $4.99, but they may have been $7.99, which made them 79 cents. I got this, and I got one like this, but it was new, and I put it on top. And before I put it on top, I put some type of cookie mix, like pre-made cookie mix, a box or something. And this was like 79 cents. This was 39 cents, and that was $1.20, and whatever the gift was on top, I think it was the whole entire gift was $10, but it looked really adorable. So you can think now about the items you might want to give next year. And also, I think it's important that you give gifts that you have. You know, I don't think anyone's going to hate getting 2 tins. Everyone can use some 2 tins. Even if they're not a big baker, you can store all kinds of things in tins, not just baked goods, so that even if it was someone who didn't really love to bake, I mean, I did give it to someone who loved to bake, but you could put different things in this. You could put, back to the sewing theme, you could give someone who wanted to sew. You could, there's so many things you can do, and it just takes a little bit of imagination. But anyway, I was trying to make this a little bit shorter. The first 3 were some extreme ways to save money on Christmas. The other ones were just some not so extreme, but still some practical ways to save money on Christmas gifts this year. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you like, or if you've ever done any of these things, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.